Guys, before I even get this video started, I have to talk about something because it's been bugging me. I've been meaning to tell you guys, and honestly, me and my daughter, we have just been like, we gotta let people know. These are possibly the greatest nuggets that I have like ever made in existence. Let me make sure it's in the camera here. These chicken nuggets, Tyson bun nuggets, these are so good. If you have them at your store, go buy them. These are like the greatest nuggets ever. But anyway, yo, what is up everyone? My name is OJ. Welcome to another PE Nintendo Switch news video. Today, we've got a lot of topics for you guys, and it has nothing to do with chicken nuggets. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So, Takahashi Mochizuki has talked about what the Nintendo chief, because you know Nintendo's been doing their financial briefings and all of that stuff, and Nintendo has talked about different things, and we're going to get into some of them in the series of videos that I'll be releasing within the next 2 days. So we're going to talk about this first. So like I said, Mochizuki, who is a writer for the Wall Street Journal, he's Japanese, but he also knows English enough to tweet out stuff and also translate some things here and there. He talked about Nintendo saying that there's going to be more than 100 titles in development with over 70 firms working on the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo wanted to make sure they talked about this to their investors because, you know, third-party support has always been a little meh on the Nintendo systems before, and I have to say, someone on Twitter actually posted an updated list of all the games that are going to be coming, and there's quite a number of titles. Obviously, in the launch period, we do have 1-2 Switch and Skylanders Imaginators, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. We also have The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, or what is it called? Afterbirth, whatever it's called. You guys all know what I'm talking about. Super Bomberman R, Just Dance 2017, World of Goo, Human Resource Machine, Little Inferno, I Am Setsuna. That's just what's confirmed at this point. There still might be more that are getting into that launch window. I know Snipper Clips is also a game that's been rumored to launch on March 3rd as well for $20. And then we also have other games like Fast RMX, Has Been Heroes, Shovel Knight that are all coming within March. Obviously, there's a lot of indie titles here. And then there's a few big titles like Bomberman R, Skylanders is a bigger title, and Zelda, obviously 1-2 Switch is a bigger title. I mean, I don't know what you want to look at that as, but they're definitely rolling out the content, and they're definitely getting indies involved. That's the one thing that I see here. There's like these mid-level games. A lot of these games like Fast RMX, Has Been Heroes, Shovel Knight, and more. These are the type of games that you would usually see like on the PS2, Xbox, and the GameCube. You would see these as the budget titles. Not because they were bad quality, but just because they were just made by the smaller development studios out there. And that's what you're kind of seeing with the Nintendo Switch at times. I mean, obviously we're going to have Tales of, we're going to have Dragon Ball, we're going to have Lego City that's also coming. But there's some really intriguing indie games and really intriguing mid-sized games coming out there. Developers like Shinen, they might be indie, but they're actually making quite a bit of money. And they're just not huge, but they make very high quality games. So it's really interesting to see these type of games on the Nintendo Switch as far as how Nintendo's spacing them out. I know in April we've got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and people are seriously underestimating how good this game can do. Mario Kart 8 on the Nintendo Wii U sold over 8 million copies on a 13 million unit install base. Obviously, Nintendo knows that they need to get that game out as fast as possible. This is going to drive sales, especially with this device being the portable factor. Mario Kart on the portable was very, very popular. The kids these days, people like me who just don't have enough time to play games at home, this portable Mario Kart is going to be big. I swear I'm going to try to get people at work to buy one of these Nintendo Switches so on our lunch breaks, we can play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So I definitely think this is going to be a bigger game than some people are giving it credit for, because I was talking to people back and forth on Twitter, and some people were saying, oh, well, it's just the Mario Kart, the same one on Mario Kart 8. No, it's not. This one's portable. This one has all the DLC. This one has all the amiibo outfits. This one has new battle mode that's going to be better, and it has a better online. Plus, like I said, portability. You can take it anywhere and play. And if it has that one cartridge and then everyone can share off that and play, that would be freaking dope, and that's going to be big. Even if it doesn't have it, that's still going to be very big. I'm interested in seeing how Skylanders Imaginators does as well, too, because that game, I've always wanted to get into it. So can someone please educate me a little bit more? I know I had some people talk about it. Can you please educate me? Is Skylanders Imaginators, like, do I need to buy all the different toys to enjoy the game? Can I unlock the characters in there? Because I don't like the fact that I have to buy a toy just to get that character, and like they do that with like a bunch of them. Is there any ways that I can just unlock a bunch of characters and use them? Because the gameplay looks freaking solid. And based on what I've played so far from one of the past Skylanders games, I thought it was pretty good. But anyway, 100 games in development, over 70 firms. Obviously, later in the year, we do got stuff like Steep, we've got Metal Slug apparently, we've got FIFA, Xenoblade 2, Oceanhorn, Stardew Valley, Street Fighter coming, Cave Story, Tank It, Earthlock. There's Pokemon that's going to be coming, there's Dragon Quest, Dragon Quest Heroes, there's no more Heroes. That's not 2017, that's probably a 2018 title. We got Shin Megami Tensei, Project Octopath Traveler, that's one game from the Silicon Studio that I'm really looking forward to. So I've talked about the Nintendo lineup as far as what I'm really excited about multiple times. ARMS is going to be coming early, Splatoon is going to be coming in the summer. So those are going to be big titles right there with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, ARMS, and Splatoon in that first half. That's actually really, really good. And then stuff like Fast RMX, like that game is going to be really good. I cannot wait to play that game. And stuff like Sonic Mania as well, portability is also good. I'm interested to see what game does better between Redout and Fast RMX, because one of them is coming out Q2. Redout is coming out Q2 2017 apparently, and then Fast RMX is coming out in March. So that's going to be interesting to see which game kind of has the leg up when it's all said and done by the end of the year. Interesting all around. But anyway, we're going to move on to the next article here. The big man himself, the president, it says that Switch pre-orders are good so far and they will increase production. So Nintendo President Tatsumi Kimishima has provided a status update on the Nintendo Switch during the company's financial results briefing recently. At the event, he noted that the Switch pre-orders are good so far. Nintendo intends to increase production of Switch as a result. Nintendo is looking to provide as much stock as possible to all consumers wanting the system in March. However, for some regions, stock may not be available until April or later. So wait, let me get this straight. Nintendo is actually trying to sell as many consoles as possible. Nintendo actually wanted to wait and see where the demand of the Nintendo Switch was before they committed to doing more than 2 million units, because it's a basic issue of supply and demand, something that multiple businesses do all the time. Are you trying to tell me that Nintendo wasn't trying to manufacture sellouts so they can get more hype behind their system? Interesting. Of course Nintendo was going to do this. Obviously, supply and demand is still a thing, guys. I said this before. To the people who were freaking out that Nintendo would not have enough systems and they're going to try to fake manufacture hype or say, oh, it's all sold out everywhere. That is not the case. Nintendo wants to sell these systems. If Nintendo can sell 3 to 4 million of these bad boys by mid-April or so, they're going to be pretty freaking well off, especially with Mario Odyssey coming out at the end of the year and the holiday rush. Theoretically, guys, they could get close because of the March launch and because of the hype that's been driven to the platform. They could get well more than half of the Wii U sales in the first 8 to 9 months. That is a given. That is like, I think that's going to happen. Even if they did 3 million at launch and they did another 3 to 4 million in the holiday or second half of the year, let's just say everything else, that's still going to be 6 to 7 million units, which would be half of what the Wii U did in all of its lifespan in that one point. That March release is actually looking to be brilliant at this point, just because it avoided a lot of the minutia and other stuff, and it gets its own launch window where people are really hyped and people do obviously have the money to buy the system, or these pre-orders wouldn't be doing so well to the point to where they increase the production of the console. So this is actually really good, and I'm excited for Nintendo for this one. But obviously we need to see what they bring out in the coming months. We need to see their relations with third-party developers. What announcements do they do? How do they drive hype behind the system even past the games, because they're spread out pretty well, and Nintendo talked about this a little bit. I think I'll talk about it in another video or so. But how do they spread out the titles to the point to where they make sure that people don't get bored and there's enough announcements in between? Because there are going to be big games and smaller games in between, but I would love to see Nintendo Directs in those gaps too. I think Nintendo Directs can almost be as good as a game in certain situations when it comes to talking about your platform, driving home new points. And the biggest thing with this system, which can drive momentum, is going to be the evolution of it. The problem with the Wii U, one of the biggest problems with the Wii U and Nintendo 3DS, is that there was never any updates that were substantial enough to get people excited, that can somehow get people more to look at the system and purchase the system. With the Nintendo Switch, with the free online and them going paid in the fall, they need to make sure that they have status updates where we know what features that we can be expecting on the Nintendo Switch and how that's going to evolve our gameplay with the whole smartphone app, in addition to what you can do on the console itself. So it's going to be interesting to see how Nintendo does that as well, because it's something that was sorely missing on the Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS. Alright, and moving on to the last topic here. This is actually pretty big when talking about the last topic that we discussed. We saw Nintendo's going to be increasing production, which equals more sales. But now Nintendo also reveals that the Nintendo Switch will be sold at a profit during the launch. So it's not going to be sold at a loss like the Wii U was, where they kind of have to say, oh, well, if you buy a game, that's actually not sold at a loss. But it was sold at a loss at launch. So Nintendo usually sells their systems at profit. even from the launch. They did that with the Wii, they did it with the GameCube, they've done that with the N64, they did it with the Super Nintendo. There was many systems. It was really just the Wii U where they really didn't do that at all. And with this, the tradition is somewhat continuing because Nintendo did say that yes, it will be sold at a profit. And this is very important for Nintendo's financials because one of the biggest disasters that happened with the Wii U, there was two big things that a lot of people don't talk about because a lot of people don't like to think past just the surface level. So the two big things were they produced way too many Wii U's at the beginning, and that cost Nintendo a ton of money. They produced way too many Wii U's because they were thinking that they're going to have a Wii situation on their hands. And not only did they produce way too many Wii U's, every time they sold one of those Wii U's, it was still sold at a loss. And then there was the droughts to where you have all these Wii U's just sitting on shelves because there's not enough games coming out. So Nintendo wanted to remedy those two things with one, making sure the system was not sold at a loss, and two, making sure they were smart with the stock and the allocation of the system, which they're doing. See the pre-orders? Pre-orders are good. Then get more once you can confirm that there's definitely the demand to meet all of that. So I like the fact that what they're doing with this, selling at a profit is very important because when Nintendo gets that profit, that goes back into making more games, getting more collaborations, and making sure Nintendo sustains the business so we can get better quality and better games. So Tatsumi Kimishima is proving to be a very substantial president at this point. I think he's really riding the ship, and I've talked about this before with Kimishima. He is a no-nonsense dude. He's going to make sure that he gets things down to the T, and he's going to make sure that if anything is off course, he's going to write it, and he's not really going to care what people are saying out there. He will announce what he needs to announce when it's ready to announce, and he'll make the best business decision for Nintendo going forward. So it's interesting to see how Kimishima is running the business, and I think he's doing a pretty good job so far, over a year on it. And I think that with this Nintendo Switch being sold at a profit, and of course the games lineup that they do have with the RPGs, and they have Dragon Quest, and they have just a lot of titles, especially those first big three. To me, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Bomberman R, and Mario Kart 8 in that first month and a half or so. I think that's really going to be good for Nintendo Switch, especially moving all those consoles all at a profit. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and hit that like button if you did like it. Lets me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for more news, reviews, trailers, tips and tricks, and everything in gaming. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys for the next video. Peace!